Hello, my name is Jeff Coots, and I was lucky enough last year to get the Moderns Classroom Project grant through KVEC. So, one kind of major focus is what exactly was the Modern Classrooms Project? Well, it's essentially a program that allows teachers to learn an effective new way of teaching. So, what happens is you give your students a blended instruction, which is you create videos for the students. They watch the videos at their own time, and then they grow and attempt work based off from a self paced structure. To ensure that they are getting the most out of their education, they have what's known as mastery based grading. This essentially shows whether or not they know the material. The biggest thing that the Modern Classroom Project does is it gives students control over their education and ensures everybody's getting the best that they can do. So, over the summer, they had us do a couple of homework assignments. The first one was known as mastery checks, and mastery checks are just essentially small quizzes. What these do are determine whether or not a student understands the content that they've been working at themselves. And so you'll notice over here on the right, I have two examples that a student might do. They're only given one problem and they attempt it to ensure they understand the material. If they do understand it, they can go on to the next content matter. If they don't, they essentially just go back and reattempt the material to make sure they understand it. So the second homework lesson was creating instructional videos, and where we have been on a COVID schedule since last school year, or technically it's 2 school years now, we have been creating videos using a device called IPEVO for quite a while. Essentially, we would create a video, upload it onto Edpuzzle, and then add questions and content to it to ensure students are getting everything that they would be, whether or not they're in person or virtual. What's good about this is not it is always available. And so since students always have access to it, they lose uh, the issue where if they were gone due to vacation or maybe they're quarantining, they always have access to the material, whether or not they're in person or virtual. The third thing that we covered, it was just another homework assignment from the modern classroom, was the implementation of a self-pacing classroom. And so for me, this is my 5th year teaching. I've never dealt with self-pacing before, but it is interesting to see because if you'll notice on the right-hand side, I've got students who are behind, who are on track, and people who are above where they're supposed to be. It's important to show this because it lets students know where they're at. While they are supposed to be working at their own pace, there is generally a guide that they follow on where they should be. And so having this and letting them know exactly where they should be at any given point allows them to know what they need to do to improve. You'll notice some kids are ahead of the schedule, and that's great. That allows them to work at their own pace. Maybe they understand the material a lot better than somebody else, and it doesn't prohibit them from going on, just like it doesn't prohibit anybody from who may be further behind. It allows us all to work at our own pace. So, the fourth, and in my opinion, the most important one, was support of the modern classroom. Now, I've focused on technology and math every year that I've taught, and to me, it just makes common sense to be able to use technology with this. However, not every person has the same opportunities, and so because of this, what we would do with this modern classroom is just show students videos on how to access every single thing by having not only a physical representation, but a digital representation of what they need to do throughout the class. And so this was very helpful to me to show students what they need to do or how they need to get onto, such as our Algebra 1 Google Classroom. This and having these digital resources allow students to use a blended environment successfully, whether they're in the classroom or not. Now, there's always goods and bads to anything. And so let's talk about the benefits first. You'll notice here on the right, I do have an image of just this is just one of my regular lessons. I assign these every single day, and it's not only for people who are virtual, I use it in person as well. That way, everybody has a level playing field. So you'll notice it has a bell ringer. You click that, it goes to a Google form. It has a video, one that I've created myself over the content that we would be talking about. And then lastly, it has homework problems on a Google form. This allows everybody to have the exact same thing, whether they are in person or quarantining due to COVID. And so, in my opinion, the benefits were it gave a condensed version of a classroom that's accessible for everybody in person or digital. It gives them videos that they can look back on anytime they need assistance, and maybe they're afraid to ask for help. They can rewatch a video and see other examples, and I think it really works well for those kids who don't like to ask questions. And then lastly, it just allows more time for discussion about the content. Since the kids are watching these videos themselves, it gives more time in the classroom just to get assistance. Now, I teach high school math, and one of my most important classes is Algebra 2. The videos they want you to do are generally 5 minutes or less. And the issue with that is not every concept, especially in Algebra 2, can you discuss in 5 minutes. A lot of the questions and problems that we do can take upwards of 10 to 15 minutes when we are just starting out. And so, time wise, it's not the best for more difficult concepts. Not only that, I have noticed as I've implemented it within my classroom, students do get confused over a question. And since they're watching the videos at home, they don't have that time to ask while we're going over it. So, because of that, they generally don't start their homework or they don't attempt to do the review. They wait. And then, if anything's happened in their personal life or in school, they might forget something that has went on and forget to ask questions about it. Lastly, and this is rare, but it still happened, I've had kids who would watch a video, not understand it, and then after watching 1 to 2 videos, they are completely lost and they're worried they're not going to make it through the class. While it's easy to talk to them about it and get them squared away, it has happened enough that I could see where students might have issues with it. Overall, in my opinion, I think it is a fantastic resource. It allows students the opportunity to get the equal level education no matter where they're at. If they're quarantining, if they're sick, if they have a doctor's appointment, everybody has the same thing. And so, since that's the case, it makes education a lot easier for kids who may miss a lot. And it also helps those kids who feel like we're going too fast or we're going too slow. It just helps to put everybody on a level playing field. So I'm really lucky I was able to get this grant.